A little bit early this morning. Some other stuff came up. But if this is your first time tuning into one of these things, either live or on the replay, I just want to say hi. My name is Colleen Mitchell. I'm a life coach, a writer. I have a podcast on type 1 diabetes, and I also have a full-time job working in the power industry. So today, I'm actually going to touch on some key themes and lessons from past live videos that I've done inside this Facebook group. And I will be making this video available on other channels. So if you're seeing this outside of the Facebook group, come join us. And the link for that is in the description. So just to dive right in, how you think about something determines your experience. Our thoughts create our realities. How we think about things determines how we feel, which drives how we act, and those actions bring results. Mindset. Make a mindset shift from fixed to growth. Growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things that you can cultivate through your own efforts. We're always capable of learning and doing more. It's the understanding that we're not stuck in one place forever. Fixed mindset is believing that your qualities are carved in stone, and this creates an urgency to prove yourself over and over again. When someone with a fixed mindset encounters any obstacles, they're not as likely to find ways to overcome them. Failure, in particular, is seen as the limit of abilities. You can make the shift by just deciding. You can make a conscious decision to start reframing how you talk to yourself, and over time, that will cultivate growth mindset. 5 best practices for goal setting. First, identify where you are now and where you want to be after you achieve your goal. Second, focus on action, not outcome, but also know what you want the result to be. Know what you're working towards. 3, break your goals down into the smallest chunks possible. Get to the goal atom, like the very smallest piece of something so you can't break it down anymore. I like calling it the goal atom. And then execute from there. 4th, schedule your free time and your self-care first. Schedule your goals second, and actually treat those goals like a hot water heater just broke. Like, you need to pay attention to this because it is extremely important and urgent at the same time. Treat your goals like that. And then fit everything else around them. And lastly, know why you're doing this. Do it for you because you want to do it. Understand your reasons and you're more likely to reach your goals. Don't do things because other people want you to do them unless you want to do them too. Goal achievement strategies to double down on yourself. Life is 50-50. Recognize that you will feel crappy for half the time, no matter what you're doing. Life is not meant to be all rainbows and daisies all the time, even though that's what we've been brought up to believe. Then also know how you respond to expectations. An easy way to identify this is by taking the Four Tendencies quiz by Gretchen Rubin. And that leads into the live video on the Four Tendencies. There are, as you can expect, 4 tendencies. The first is obligers, which are the largest group. Obligers meet outer expectations, so expectations from other people or from the world, but they resist inner expectations. So maybe the things that they want to do for themselves, they resist doing it. Questioners are the second largest group. Questioners meet those inner expectations, but they resist the outer ones. If they do something that comes from anyone outside of themselves, they have adopted that outer expectation as an inner one. Upholders, which are the second smallest group, readily meet both inner and outer expectations. And I consider myself to be an upholder. I find that it's relatively easy for myself to meet outer expectations and also do the things that I want to do. And then the smallest group are the rebels. Rebels resist both the inner and the outer expectations. They do what they want when they want to. These are the people who do the opposite of what someone tells them to do for the sole reason that someone told them to do it. How to deal with the fear of rejection. First of all, awareness. Understand what you're afraid of and why. Second, understand your fear archetype, which shows how fear shows up in your life. And Ruth Soukup has an assessment for this at assessment.doitscared.com. And I think there are 7 different fear archetypes, and I did the premium quiz, so I know my top 3, and I think it's people pleaser, procrastinator, and rule follower are my top 3. They're not necessarily in that order. And then third, for how to deal with the fear of rejection, is to understand that fear is an emotion caused by your thoughts. The more you sit with this and know what that means for you, the easier it becomes to consciously choose a different thought. That creates a different feeling, which drives different actions, which give you a result that's not fear-based and keeping you stagnant. 5 questions to ask about your friendships. Do you have anything in common? Is the friendship one-sided? Does this person build you up or tear you down? Would you choose them again today if you met them on the street? Is it time to let them go? Some of those questions can feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that's okay. Next up is how to handle burnout. Brooke Castillo's podcast episode on burnout, which is episode 182 from the Life Coach School podcast, summarizes this beautifully. She says, burnout is caused by 3 things: stressful thinking, poor planning, and scarcity thinking. When you're stressing and when you're thinking about scarcity and when you're not planning well, you will be reacting to your life and it will beat you up and you will burn out. When you don't have enough space to think, when you don't have enough self-coaching, when you don't have enough purpose, and when you don't have enough willingness to fail, you are going to be burnt out. You are going to feel exhausted. Burnout comes when you're trying to outrun negative emotion, when you're trying to work hard enough to prevent that negative emotion. It comes from trying to trade this moment for a future better moment. And that never works. You can't outrun your negative emotion, and you cannot run into a future where there is better emotion. The only thing that changes your emotion is changing the way that you think. So, uncover the thoughts that are causing your burnout. Keep asking why and writing down the answer. Plan better, and let it be enough. Belief plans. Using your beliefs to change your life. There is a difference between actions that we take that we think will create results for us and actions we take that grow beliefs in and about ourselves. Those belief-growing actions are ones that come from a place of confidence, curiosity, commitment, determination, and other goal-focused emotions. And those emotions come from things you already believe or are practicing believing. Choosing to believe things on purpose means that I work on embodying them. The more that I think them, the more they generate those feelings that drive actions towards the results that I want. Those are belief plans. And if you want to learn more about belief plans, you can check out Stacey Boehman. That's Boehman. And she has an amazing podcast episode on belief plans in particular. Next up, when you attach your emotions to what you expect others to do. Other people get to do whatever they want to do. Other people can't feel our emotions. Only we can feel our emotions. Like if you feel angry, that anger doesn't jump out of your body and into someone else's. They can't actually feel your emotions. They feel theirs and you feel yours. You can only control yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, reactions, and inactions. Can't control what other people do. Even though we really, really want to and really, really believe that we can, we can't. So we have to let them do whatever they want and not make it mean something negative about you. And if you do that, you'll release a lot of unnecessary suffering. Understanding energy management. So I think energy management is really closely related with time management. But people have different energy patterns. So you want to match your high energy times with your work that requires high energy. And the same for the low energy. So the way to do this is to list and prioritize all of your to-dos and your tasks. Then identify what kind of energy you need to be in to execute them efficiently. Pay attention to when you're in that type of energy during the day and the week. And then, you might be able to guess, match those times with the tasks that need those energy states. So this is kind of a different take on time management because when people trip up on different time management techniques and methods and tools, it's usually because their energy doesn't match that tool. So you need to figure out with experimentation to find a tool that both works for you and your thought process and for your energy levels. How to make decisions. Decisions are instantaneous thoughts, and actually so is indecision. A decision is a commitment to a thought, a feeling, and an action that creates a result. So identify what you want to make a decision about. List all of the obstacles and challenges that could come up when acting it out. Identify ways to mitigate, avoid, and reverse those obstacles and challenges. Write out the thought, feeling, action, and results. Actions and result. I want to make sure those are correct in their plurality. So write those out for the decision and then start at the result you want and then work backwards. And then also write about how the decision will change your life and how it will create power. Like, what effect will it have on the rest of your life once you make this decision and follow through on it? Now, this can all happen in your head. This happens frequently in my head, and sometimes I do things. Another Stacey Bayman thing is I make a strategic impulsiveness is what I think she called it. So it was a strategic impulsive decision. It's like when you think about something for a really long time and then in an instant you just make the decision. So I've done that before, and that all happens in my head. Another thing that really helps here is to believe that you'll have your back through those decisions. So don't second guess yourself. Making new decisions later with new information is not going back on your original decision. It's making a new one. And I tell a story about this in the original live, so you can go check that one out. Some tips to build self-confidence. Do a thought download of all of the opinions you have about yourself. Keep the good ones. Avoid comparing yourself to others. Practice self-care. Take a walk. Practice to increase competence in whatever you're lacking self-confidence in. So be willing to fail or be bad at it. Smile. It also helps with confidence. Donate or volunteer your time. Learn something new. Work on something small. Organize your space. I know for me, I feel a lot less cluttered when my space is uncluttered. And that actually helps feel confident that I can do the things that I want to do. You can also uncover your core values. So do maybe some journaling or some thinking about what actually matters to you and understand what those core values are. Try to eliminate negative self-talk and judgment because those are never useful. Use your past success as a motivator, but not necessarily evidence for future successes. So we tend to use past failure against ourselves for reasons why we can't do something because we failed at it in the past. But because we do that, we also forget that we can use our past successes as evidence that we can succeed in the future. But we don't want to use that as the sole thing as to aim for, because we can always grow more than we think we can. And if we use that past success as like the stopping point, then we won't ever get any further. Make a commitment and follow through. Yes. And then the last one here is to celebrate your achievements. And this is something that I struggle with anyway, is actually taking the time to celebrate my achievements and celebrate my successes. I tend to go from one thing to the next. And so when I do take that time to slow down and actually acknowledge that I've achieved something, it really helps with confidence. And then the last one I'll cover today, I have a whole another set of these for next week, but the last one for today is how to feel any feeling. So there are 4 things that we can do with feelings. We can resist, react, avoid, or allow. The simplest way to feel any feeling is just to let yourself feel it. That's the last of the 4, which is allowing. The most difficult answer to how do I feel any feeling is to release all expectations of how it will feel. We tend to think that we'll feel a certain way before actually feeling that way. And because we think we'll feel that way, we push that feeling away from ourselves, so we resist it. But in the resisting of it, we actually increase the likelihood that we will feel that thing anyway. And so it just becomes this cycle of resisting, but then feeling bad anyway. It's really weird. But we don't want to experience rejection, grief, or fear. But in the avoidance and resistance to those emotions, we don't actually know how they feel in our bodies because we're resisting knowing. But once you allow yourself to feel the actual physical manifestation of that feeling in your body, you might realize that what you've been resisting is a little tightness in your throat, like maybe a little bit of buzzing, a little heat, and that's it. Like if you were going to describe that feeling to an alien without using the word for the emotion, like how would you describe it? It has to do with what you're feeling inside your body. So like the 4 steps here to feel any feeling is to, first of all, allow space for the feeling. Describe the feeling as if you were explaining it to an alien. So don't use the word for the emotion, but describe how you feel it physically in your body, and use as many descriptions as you can. Then you want to name the emotion. So the step before that was describe it as if you're describing it to an alien, but then after that you want to name the emotion. So it might be disgust, fear, excitement, anger, frustration, happiness, joy, all of these single word descriptions of that emotion in your body. And something that's really might be fun to play with here is to ask yourself, how do you know the difference between 2 emotions that are really similar? Like, how do you know the difference between anxiety and excitement? How do you know the difference between anger and frustration? That might be really interesting to kind of play with. And then the last thing here is be willing for the emotion to stay with you for however long it wants. When we're in a rush to push away our emotions, we're not feeling them. We're still resisting them. So that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. I will be back here next week with another live. And I just realized my camera has been fuzzy this whole time. Oh, that's so annoying. Okay, well, hopefully I can make it focus a little bit better. Nope. Oh well. I will see you guys next week for the second half of this, and hopefully my video will be clear next week. Oops. I will see you guys then. Bye.